Welcome back. Good morning, Mr. Ambrand. As you have seen, the President have highlighted very important, very impressive points in that particular session of the Arab League Summit at the Heads of State in the Bahraini capital, Manama. Of course, he addressed several heads of state, Arab heads of state, and the President Sisi have been ongoing on and on talking about the importance of the rejection of the displacement of the innocent civilians, sieging the rights of people, I mean displacing them from their lands, the innate lands, and violating the international rights, committing genocidal crimes. I mean, he talked about very important, a collective punishment. Again, he repeated that in the speech where he was addressing the Arab leaders. If you'd like to focus on that impressive speech.
The Egyptian strategy and the Egyptian diplomacy has raised level to level since the beginning of the crisis. The operation October 7th has launched lots of waves that that is connected to the whole world, that the whole world is have felt and touched and changed a lot in the whole world, in the conscience of this world. The Egyptian diplomacy is the strongest and the most honest diplomacy in the whole region. Today's statements by Mr. President Abdel al-Sisi has proven that honesty, that sound of honesty that we individually possess, and we are using that honesty to strengthen our situation. The sound of Egypt was always as a call for unity, or the united of the Arabic forces. We remember that years before, Mr. President Abdel al-Sisi has called the Arabs to gather in one army, to establish an Arabic united army, to confront any threats that we are already, since the existence of Arabs, we are confronting. If we had accomplished that army, we would never have faced that crisis right now. Excuse me. The crisis in Gaza Strip should have been eliminated from its roots if we had the strength, the sound of strength. We don't call for war, we don't go for war, we don't need war, but we should be ready for war. Only diplomacy is not enough. Only political ties with the Western or the Eastern world is not enough. The international organizations are not enough. Only the sound of power that suppress any aggression before it starts. So that's how.
And this comes with solidarity.
With solidarity, and that's how we maintain peace. If you want to maintain peace with an enemy,
we have to effect justice.
We have to effect justice, and also we have to show that enemy that we are strong enough so don't cross your borders.
Exactly.
That's why Mr. President have always declared our red lines strategy, whether to the east or to the west. In this summit, this is a very important time this is a hard time we are going through as Arabs, as nations living in this region. I believe that the leaders in our neighbor country should raise up to that level of confrontation, of that challenge of
Existence, exactly. But you raised a very important, very smart point, which is how does peace come and how is it affected? Sometimes, because there is misconception, I mean, sometimes this particular notion of peace or meaning of peace is disrupted in the minds of some leaders, in the sense of I can achieve peace by submission. I can submit to my enemy. I can accept what's happening in order not to, to prevent the bloodshed and everything. I can forsaken. I can, give my land. Forsake Jerusalem to the enemy for the sake of peace. Is that peace?
Naturalizing relations between some of the countries and the Zionist existence, they thought that would prevent any actions or aggressions like
I can agree to the displacement of the Palestinians to leave their lands and go everywhere, and then this is going. I can achieve peace.
Look what happened finally. All this naturalization relations have caused us nothing. They gained nothing. But on the other hand, the whole region is threatened with chaos, which is the same vicious agenda that we are witnessing since more than 13 or 14 years now.
Exactly. We are against chaos. We are against brutality. We are against bombardment. We are against threatening of the the security of nations and everything. But we remember very well that we regained Sinai with blood and tears.
Of course.
We regained it with the power, with solidarity, with standing up to our rights. We did not regain Sinai with negotiations, of course partial with diplomacy and negotiations and soft power like the policy of President Abdel Sisi and President Sadat and all that. But we never regained Sinai with submission.
So of course.
We did not submit to the enemy, and we regained Sinai as a prize. It came with a very high price.
No occupied land since the beginning, since the dawn of humanity, was regained through negotiations or through peaceful discussions, only by force, or at least initiative,
or legal force,
of course, justice force. This is in the international law. If your land is occupied, you have each and every mean you use to liberate your land. This is international law.
According to the law, I do not violate the law. But we have a case here: the enemy, or those people, those mercenaries, as we can call them, because they're importing people from everywhere to fight for them, and they are backed by superpower and everything. They don't have faith. They don't have values or anything. They are daily violating international rights, committing brutalities, committing genocidal crimes. Nobody is objecting from world leaders, but nations are objecting. Jews in New York are objecting. The whole world are objecting to those genocidal crimes. There is no space for anybody except for recognition of what's right.
I believe.
Do you agree with that or no?
Of course, I do. I totally agree. The operation of October 7th has moved the standing still waters in the mind and in the conscience in the whole world. Despite of any other sides who did it, who committed
whether we agree or we do not agree.
Yes, but that's the consequence. The whole world realizes now whether if the initiation of this operation was good or bad. I'm talking about the consequence. The whole world is awakened. The whole the nations are pressing the regimes in the Western world. The nations they don't believe anymore the Western media.
Students in universities are doing a very good job.
Exactly. This is that means that the new generation will be different totally from
They can't be
the
fooled
past
anymore.
generation.
But at the same time, going back to the present speech, to what extent do you feel, you can assess that the president's the points that the president raised inside his impressive speech could build on or try to affect any result in the Arab leaders' minds and faith and choices to choose to come together in solidarity and in support to each other, just like the past? Do you think
without
the speech
united
is going
situation, without
move
united
things?
situation, we have no power. Only the power of speech. That's never enough. We need the power of action, not actions, but one action, one front, one vision that unites us, that gather all our forces. The Palestinian case is the most top priority to our own national security as Arabs, as nations, because we're not only Arabs in this region, but the first national or international interest for our, to be defended. We should never let the others defend it or fight our battle for us. We don't expect the UN to fight our battle for us. We shouldn't expect that the US, the main ally to the Zionist aggression and the main supplier to the aggression, to help us fighting our own cause, our own battle.
Well, let me ask you another question also that is similar to what you're saying. In other words, I need to, what's your insight of that particular knowledge? How important is solidarity to the regional security of the Arab world? Again, apart from the Palestinian crisis, solidarity is important to countries themselves in their own rights, to each country. Coming together, unifying all our efforts is for our own best interest, not only for the Palestinian crisis.
Exactly.
It's also for our own best interest. It's for the best of our development, for the best of our sustainable development, economy, everything. Are the Arabs at full recognition of that? Because President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have been trying extensively and very impressively to reflect that particular idea to the Arab leaders, trying to amplify that if you come together, then this is going to maintain our national security, it's going to protect us, ourselves, our countries, our nations, not only inside the Palestinian territory. If you would like to elaborate.
In our history as Egypt, we have great leaders like Nasser, like Sadat. But Mr. President, let me give him that right he deserves. Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has taken for the first time the strategy of independence, that we shouldn't lean to the West, to the East, or to the West on fighting our own battles. Only the balance between the East and the West, and having relations, strong strategic relations and ties with both Russia and the US. That concept should be applied on the tables in our neighbors' heads and strategies. They should take the same action. They shouldn't depend on the US army to fight a threat like Iran. And they shouldn't use the help of any other power to help to preserve their own security. They can only use their own powers, the own economy. The economy of power here is very important. We have a lot of it. We need to share it between us, not with other foreign parts, within our own parts. If Egypt and unified forces, what happened in Sudan would have never happened. We would never been facing that threats in our own southern front to our national security. The same thing in Gulf. They should realize that only Egypt only Egypt is the shield and armor of this nation, not any other country. By having these concepts.
And the one with the mild policies,
Well,
the
of
one with the
course.
soft power, the one that is taking
The
the
only
lead.
country in the region that have balanced
Balance, yes.
strategic relations with all the powers in the world, from a vision of independence.
And the strongest army also.
And the strongest army. Please allow me to say this is the strongest army in the world. We have witnessed the American army confronting the Iraqis in its invasion. If it's a soldier against
the ground
soldier,
invasion
the
also
Iraqis won.
was very comic.
Look at our own soldiers, the best soldiers on earth. We can
God
conquer hundreds of them with one soldier. If there is a fair fight, if there is a just fight, we are the strongest. And the world around us realize this, and that's why Israel and other powers, hostile powers, enemy powers, they totally avoid our own rough power. They are manipulating the situations so they don't go into direct confrontation with our own army. This is their strategy, and that's the first reason for the what I call it, the Zionist spring.
They are avoiding ground battles because they know they are not fit for it.
Exactly. We are built for this.
Exactly. The whole Arab world, I mean, even the resistance inside Palestine and also were built for it. They have stamina. But going back to President Abdel Fattah Sisi attending this session of the Arab League in Manama, he held a series of meetings also. I mean, world leaders took the opportunity to meet the president. He met with the Jordanian King Abdullah II. He met with other leaders. And he talked about several important issues. He even met with Mahmoud Abbas. He talked about the crisis and reflected Egypt's stance towards what's happening. How do you assess the meeting between the president and President Mahmoud Abbas?
Well, of course, according to the protocols, he meets with his counter-Palestinian president. But the Egyptian vision here is to regain unity of the Palestinian powers and forces and unite the organizations all together, the organization of resistance, and create a new authority that...
Yeah. But where do we see the Palestinian Authority nowadays? Where are they? I mean, how do you assess their efforts? I mean,
it takes brave
observe
decisions.
their efforts in that particular crisis.
It takes brave decisions and sacrifices from within the inside in Palestine. They should think of the best interests of their own country instead of best interests for their own posts.
Exactly.
Only this way. Some of them would and should sacrifice its own post for creation of a new authority. That authority that have members of not vague identities, not vague connections to the Israeli side, not any questions about where they came from. We need new faces from the very heart of this land. Only Palestinians, only Arabs, only Arabs from this country, to rise and to be delivered the authority to protect their own state, and then we can have a state. We are all demanding of a free, independent Palestinian state, but who will rule this state if we don't have this members?
Whoever is qualified, whoever is going to earn the chair.
That the member of this authority should have no past in dealing with
you
the
can't
enemy.
rule a country if you're staying inside your palace and watching things from far,
or living in other
on another
countries
country.
like a deserted king.
Exactly. Right, but then how important is it if we're talking about real solidarity, not just statements? How important it is if we're talking about solidarity for Palestinians themselves? I mean, two authorities to be, I mean, unify with each other. I mean, where do you see in the role or in the might of the Palestinian Authority to do now in that situation with the other authority that is resisting inside with all its might and its effort? I mean, don't you think that solidarity on the first hand should be between the Palestinian Authority and the resistance, especially at this critical moment?
Until this very critical moment, they have their own differences.
Politically, military, or whatever,
Some
and
of
through
them,
negotiations.
they don't even, some of those, some who are in the heart of authority, they think that the enemy shouldn't be resisted at all, just being negotiated forever and ever and ever.
Right.
Is that a situation? No way.
Right.
They should gather on one table.
Exactly. Just like President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have said.
This is the
Come to
strategy
the
of
negotiation
Egypt.
table,
They
of
should
course,
use this.
to avoid the bloodshed. On that note, of course, Mr. Abdel Rahman, we're very delighted to have you again here in the studio this morning. Thank you so much. You are our political analyst and a journalist. Thank you so much, and you have a very good day.
I am even more delighted and even honored. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Our real pleasure. And we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.